Hey fam, Lady Missy here. Kenya, aka Lady Missy, right? I hope y'all are having a good day so far. And if not, you know what? In a couple of hours, you'll be off work and you could be home relaxing, doing whatever, if that's your schedule. Anyway, meanwhile, I wanted to make this video. Let me move this over a tad bit. Okay, for the young ladies, because I'm a woman of wisdom. Of course, I am going to be 54 this month. If the Lord allows me to see the 29th, I will be 54. And the young lady that I was in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, she's gone. Because each year you get blessed to see another birthday. You've learned something. You experienced stuff that was new, stuff that you never knew. You're still learning and growing. And so who I was back then is not who I am today. Who I am right now, I will not be the same person next year either, because that's what life is about, blossoming and growing, right? And when you have wisdom like this, you need to share it, because we think we know it all when we're young, and we do not. You're so far from being knowledgeable, and we can be pretty intelligent and bright for our age at that time, but nothing beats life experience, right? And so because I have experience in certain areas, I like to share, because I want you ladies to be safe. I want you to protect your heart. I want you to protect your virginity, and I want you to be alive to meet the right one to share life with. And the things I want to share with you are very important, because I'm seeing so much death, and I'm witnessing so many heartbreaking women. And I'm not saying this is information I'm going to share with you is going to foolproof you from getting your heart broken, because sometimes we meet a guy and this guy is so slick with the tongue that he makes you feel like you're his everything and you're his whole world. And we get pulled in and bad things happen. Sometimes you can't escape that. But I still want to give advice that will help you open up your mind to pay attention to the things that are important and see those red flags, right, ladies? Okay. So I was married when I was young. I got married at 19, right? I'm not gonna get into that whole marriage thing. I would like to talk about it one day, not intimate and enough that I'm gonna be exposing him, because that's not what it's about. We both make mistakes, right? But I want to talk about being so young and getting married one day. But right now I want to talk about what happened after the marriage had broken up, right? And then I started being in the dating world for the first time in my life, because he was my first boyfriend, my first everything. And he blessed me with two beautiful young ladies, right? Two beautiful babies who are now young ladies. And I had met him when I was 16. I didn't date anybody else. He was it for me. So now when we broken up, now I'm in a dating arena, and you're single and you feel weird because you hadn't been alone. You grew up with this person, and we weren't really together very long, but off and on into my 20s. And so from 16 into my 20s. So, and after we had broken up, now I'm dating, I'm getting phone numbers. I had boyfriends, after him as well. But in between the actual boyfriends, you're dating and you're meeting people because you're young, right? And you're not walking too many places and going too many places without turning some heads, right? Because we're young. And this is the height of our beauty when we're young. And I had never even gone to a party or anything. My mama was not having it. So I had never even gone to a party. So it was once my ex-husband and I had broken up, and he had custody of the girls for every other weekend and holidays. That's what the court decided, and it was fine. That's what we did. I had my first opportunity to actually go out and go to a club. I thought I was missing something, right? And I love to dance. And so I would go out to clubs and I would dance, and I would go out twice a month, because those are the weekends that my daughters were, with him. And sometimes as my young lady I knew grew up, I had her babysit, and family and friends would babysit so that I can go out and have some mommy time, some grown up time, right? Because I was a single mom, and of course we all know how hard that can be. And for me, to breathe a little bit, I wanted to go and dance, and that was what I enjoyed. I used to dance all night, and that's another story. But honey, the DJ would be like, "Girl, this is the last song. He about to shut the club down," and I'm in the middle of the floor still dancing and spinning around, having a good time. But when you go out like that, you get all dressed up, you get all dolled up, and I was wearing my high heel pumps and dancing in my high heel pumps all night, and you meet guys because you're dancing, and the club scene is a very seductive. I'm gonna use that word because it's dark and you have this music with this beat, right? People are drinking, people are high, and so it's a very seductive place to be in. And a lot of people go there just to meet and mingle and hook up, right? And I can honestly say I never did that. I never did that. Did I meet guys there? Of course I did. A relationship never happened from it though. There was never an intimate relationship that happened. It was about me enjoying my youth, meeting guys and just talking to them and just feeling, attractive and just being young and free to a certain extent. I was never very promiscuous, so that's not what I went to the club for. As I stated earlier, I wanted to go and dance. So I met different guys. I've met guys in clubs. I've met guys walking down the street because, of course, you walk down the street, the fellas are hanging out. They see you walk by, you might be interested, you stop, you talk, you exchange your numbers, right? And so these are how you end up, these are the ways you end up meeting guys. And I met a lot of guys. I actually wrote on a piece of paper, which I've thrown out already, how many guys I met over the years who I exchanged numbers with, right? And it was like 30 something. Those are the ones I found interesting enough to exchange numbers with. But it's a funny because I barely talked to any of them more than once. Because there's certain things I did look for, even though I was young and I wasn't as knowledgeable as I am now. I didn't like thug types because now y'all call them thugs, and back then we used to call them hard rocks. Used to call them hard rocks, right? And I never liked those types. I always was frightened of those types of guys because I always thought of them as the types that'll beat you up and curse you out. I'm not having that. I grew up seeing abuse, right? And so that was something I ran way far away from. That was not something that I wanted to repeat or have my daughters to be around, nor myself be subjected to. That's just not, no, that wasn't cute for me. And a lot of people think fighting and arguing is a turn on. They enjoy the dysfunction. I don't like dysfunction, honey. Me and dysfunction, no, we don't get along. And we never will. That's not, a good life for me. I'm not trying to go there. And so those types of guys, I weeded them out because I'm not dealing with nobody who's going to think they're going to snatch me up by my throat, grabbing me up, cursing me out, putting his hand in my face. No, we're not doing that. I like what you might have called corny guys because they were, guys who were sensible. They had respect for women. Corny guys do their dirt too, but they had a way about them that I felt safer with them. So these are the guys that I usually choose to hang out with or talk to or whatever. But I wanted to talk about being single, right? Having your own place and bringing these guys back to your home, right? The stupid things that I did back then, even though in my mind, I thought I was smart. I thought I was smart, but it was stupid when I look back on it. And I thank God that the many times he intervened and he saved me because I've had gentlemen be in my space that snapped and things could have went really, really bad. But by the grace of God, I was able to get out of the situation unharmed. And so I wanted to share this video with you all ladies because I want y'all to not be so desperate and anxious to have a man that you do foolish things while you pursuing, a relationship with somebody. And being wise even when you're going out hanging out and partying and things like that, which I'm not condoning because that, like I said, it's a setup for sex. The whole club scene is a setup for sex. Back when I used to go out, people used to literally smoke in the clubs. I mean, getting high. I don't know what's going on now. I haven't been to a club and I'm in the dark. I do know that back in my day, people used to smoke weed and cigarettes publicly. Cigarettes were not banned. And I would be dancing all night, inhaling that cigarette smoke and wake up the next day, my voice is gone, smelling like cigarettes from head to toe, literally. I would come home, shower, wash my hair, ball up those clothes and put them in a bag. And I mean, it was horrible, the whole atmosphere. But for me, I thought it was fun. It was freeing for me because I was there having fun and flirting a little bit. And I'm a human being, so I thought all of that was cool, and I never had a horrible experience at a club. So that was a blessing as well. But meeting these guys was pretty scary because I was foolish. Because I had my place, I could say this. I was a little naive as far as when you meet a guy, knowing that I need to have him take me out, right? Take me out and let's meet on the outside. I would allow some of them to say, yeah, let's go back to your house. I'll bring some food and I'll bring a movie and we watch a movie and we just chill. And I'm so lonely and silly. And I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I've done that quite a few times with, I'm going to say 5 guys over the time that I was single. I would say like 5. And it turned out fine where nobody ever hurt me or anything like that. But y'all know what it is. You tell a brother it's okay to come to your house. In their head, even if you don't roll like that or move like that, because I was not that type of woman. I was never promiscuous or highly flirtatious in a sexual way where that man thought, oh, I'm definitely going to get her. But they're men, they're going to try you, right? So you got to be mindful of that and you got to be careful. And inviting a guy to your house for the first date is not the way to go. I would never advise any young woman to do that crap. Even women my age, I would never advise you to bring anybody to your home, because if they're a stalker or they're crazy, they have your address now. They know you're alone. Danger, danger, totally dangerous. Don't do it. Protect yourself. You have to get to know people, because a lot of people present themselves as one way, but they are insane. And I'm going to share one story with you, right? There was a gentleman that used to sell products on the street. He was a vendor and nice looking guy. And he was a tall, strapping guy, nice size. And I would walk past his table a lot, but I wasn't into things like this back then. I wasn't wearing jewelry. I wasn't into these. He sold things like this, oils, like little bracelets, African type pieces. And I was not a jewelry wearer back then at all. And even when I did, I didn't never go to him to buy anything. But anyway, I had a friend. She used to go to his table and buy things from him, right? One day I had taken the girls to Pickens Avenue, which was where he worked, like Rockaway and Pickens. His table was set up there almost every day for years. And one day I'm passing him and I'm like, hello, as I usually do. And he asked me to come over. So I did. We chit chatted. He said, you're a beautiful young lady. I always see you with your daughters. You keep them neat and clean. I can tell the way you carry yourself that you're the type of woman that I would like to get to know. Is it okay if we exchange numbers? And this was after years of seeing him. So I felt kind of safe because I'm feeling like I kind of know him, right? We did that. We exchanged numbers. So later on that same day, he called. He asked me if he could see me then and there. And I'm like, why not? Like I said, I was dumb enough before, or naive enough before, to have had gentlemen come to my house to have a movie night or whatever. And the bad thing about it, like when I think about it, I kind of cringe because my daughters were home, right? And I said, okay, what we did something very simple. There was a Kentucky Fried Chicken over there. He was like, can I bring you guys anything? And I was like, sure, bring us some Kentucky Fried Chicken, blah, blah, blah. Gave him my address. He shows up. We had the Kentucky Fried Chicken. He was sitting in my living room. He didn't come, to the table with myself and my daughters, but he sat in my living room and he just gave us the food we ate. I bathed my daughters. I put them to bed. So I'm excited because, like I said, he seemed like a decent guy, and he was like an entrepreneur. He was doing his little thing. He wasn't working for anyone. So this was our first opportunity to actually sit down and talk and get to know one another. My goodness. I got the girls together, put them to bed. I come back in the living room. I mean, he was ready, right? So he was like, so what's going on? Where's their father? Why is a beautiful woman like you left in the projects alone with these 2 beautiful young children? I'm not understanding that. And I'm like, wow, you went all in real quick. And so that kind of threw me for a loop. But I'm like, wow, I said, well, we're not together. He was like, he's a fool. You know, he was saying his little things, his dishing out his little insults and saying that if it was him, he would have never done that. He could never see a beautiful woman being left behind with these children and so on and so forth. And I'm like, okay, this is a little too deep too soon. I wanted to talk things like, what's your favorite color? What do you like to eat? Homeboy was going in, right? And at that time, my children's father and I were still legally married, right? He asked me about that. He was like, are y'all divorced? What's going on? It was kind of nice, and most of us would like it because we saying, oh, this guy is serious, but he doesn't know me. He don't know anything about me. He doesn't even know if he's gonna like me when he find out things about me. So he was doing too much too soon, right? And I was smart enough to feel that. I was like, this is like, you putting pressure on me, brother. This is too soon. I had to tell him, you know, we were getting to know one another. So I had to tell him that, yeah, we're not legally divorced yet. It's in the works. And he was like, what's taking so long? I mean, he was on, when I said he was on it and too far in it too soon, I'm like, can we just chit chat? Or if this is too much for you, you could leave, you know, and then we don't have to deal with that because I get it. If you're not the type that want to deal with a woman who's married, because by right, he should not have been, you know, because I was still legally married to a man, you know, and he didn't have to deal with it if he didn't want to, but he decided to keep asking questions and he was telling me he'll pay for the divorce. And then I was like, okay. So I was supposed to let him pay for my divorce. So then what? When we were divorced, he owned me or something. And like I said, I was not even foolish enough to let him come in. But the things he was saying, I was not with it. I thought he was losing it and doing too much too soon. And it was getting scary. I mean, we didn't even get into a conversation for 10 minutes before it got scary. And I'm like, no, this is not right. This nice guy, he seemed so cool all these years. Why is he bugging out like this? So I said to him, I don't want to say his name. I'll call him Ken. His name started with a K. I'm like, Ken, don't you think we going too far? He was like, no, it's I'm about my business. I got my own house. I have a little boy. I have custody of him. And I'm going to be with a woman. You know, I'm going to take care of a woman. I would never leave you here. You will move in with me. And then I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, I would never move in with a man not knowing anything about him and giving up what I have here with my children. And then when you're tired of me, you put us out and we're on the street with nowhere to go. I would never do that. He started getting an attitude. Well, I'm not the type of man that would do no woman like that. And I said, I don't know that. I don't know you. I said, can we start small? Like, could we just talk about what we like so we can get to know each other? And he was like, no. He got angry. He started getting angry. And I was like, ooh, I'm telling you, like my goosebumps came and little hairs just started standing up. I'm like, uh-oh, I made a mistake. And I remember praying. I was like, Lord, if you let this man get out of this house, I'm not going to let nobody in here again. I'll never let him in again. Right? And it turns out he stood up. And I tell you, this was a big guy. He was nice size, nice built, and he was tall. He started pacing in my living room floor. And all I could think about is if this man decided to hurt me, he could go hurt my children. And I want y'all to pay attention to this, ladies, because be careful. Be careful. He could have done anything he wanted to do to me. I would not have had the strength to fight that man off or stop him from hurting my children. And that's the scary thing. After he left, I was trembling. I thought about it and I'm like, this is crazy. But let me get back to how he left. I was like, okay, Ken. I'm like, this is not going well. I don't like the type of conversation that we're having. We just met. He's like, but I feel like I know you for years. I've seen you all the time for years. I know what I want, blah, blah, blah. When a man is pushing like that, the first day that you guys start to get to know each other, that is a red flag. Even if what he's saying sounds good to your heart, your head, and your ears, because we all want to be loved and taken care of, that is far too soon. He didn't even, I said, you don't know me. You don't even know if you're going to like me once you find out who I am, my personality and stuff. And I was like, I just want you to leave. Man, this man is pacing back and forth. I'm sitting on my couch going, Lord, please don't let this man do anything crazy. Please let this man leave my house. So he was like, so you want me to leave? He's looking down at me. And this look is very scary because it's a big guy. And I'm not confrontational. And I was nervous. I was more scared. I could be confrontational, right? But I was more scared because my daughters were in the room. And so that was what really had me Like, girl, be quiet. Keep this man as, calm as possible and just ask him to leave. So I said, I want you to leave. And he was like, oh, so you asking me to leave? You putting me out? And I was like, yes, I would like for you to leave, please. And he opened up my door. I mean, he opened my door so crazy, like, went and it hit the wall, bam, and it slammed closed. And I'm like, I breathed because I didn't know what was gonna happen. I ran to my door and I locked my two little locks. I sat down on the couch and I was like, what in the world just happened here? It could have ended up so, way worse than it did. I thank God that he got out of there and I was in one piece and my children were still alive in their bed, right? So that occurred. I'm trying to remember you know how sometimes you grow up and you forget which event happened first. I'm trying to in my head remember what happened first because I want to tell you about another time I had a gentleman in my home again. My daughters were not there though this time, and how I ended up trusting him enough because I had known him over a year, and how inviting these men in your space like that, knowing that they feel a certain way about you, is not good either, especially if you don't feel the same. My mom always said that. She was like, don't play with a man's emotions. If he's willing to help you and give you money and stuff like that, and you know you're not attracted to him and you don't want anything with him, don't accept gifts because men will use that against you later and they may hurt you, thinking they're going to collect because they gave you so much and you're giving them nothing in return. So I know I don't play with men. So this next particular guy, I'm trying to remember which event happened first. I think this gentleman I'm going to tell you about now, that one happened first. Nope, no, it didn't. Y'all forgive me. I'm going to be 54. I can't remember everything, but I know these two events were scary enough for me that after they happened, I hadn't let any men in my home again after that, in my apartment, because I was like, this is not safe. This is crazy. And so I wisened up to that as far as being alone, knowing that these men know I lived alone and I was a single mom with two little girls. That right there was dangerous because some guys are crazy. So this particular guy I'm gonna tell you about, I'm gonna call him G. Now G, I'm walking to the store and I went into the bodega. G's following me down the aisles. He said, can I help you with something? So I knew the guys in the bodega because I was there every day. So I turned and I'm like, you don't work here? I'm a fun loving person. I get along with anybody. And that's another thing that men were attracted to because I will giggle and laugh and they think they got me because I'm in love because I'm laughing. No, bruh, I laugh at everybody. That's just my nature. I love to laugh, right? And that was things that got men to like me or into me because they enjoyed that I was a fun-loving person. So I said to him, you don't work here. And he was like, no, I don't. I just want to help you. And I was like, God, get out of here. I don't want no help from you. So he was like, what's your name? And I was like, Kenya. And I told him. And then he told me his name. We get to the counter. I put my stuff on the counter. He offered to buy my stuff. I'm like, no, thank you. I don't know you. We can get to know each other. And I said, no, I don't want no. I was the type that was upfront. I remember it being still fresh. I think at that time, I met this gentleman after maybe the second time me and my children's father tried to work it out. I can't remember the dates and details, y'all. Y'all forgive me, but I know I was in a break. I wasn't with anyone. And I wanted to keep it that way because I just wanted to regroup and I just wasn't in the mood to be in a relationship. And I told him that, I expressed that to him. And he was like, oh, we could be friends. This was my young, dumb stages. I'm going to say I was young and dumb due to the fact that I had never dated. Remember that, y'all. I never dated anybody besides my father, my children's father, and my children's father. I'm looking for my water. What did I do? Oh, here it is. Right? And so I thought you could be friends with a man. Yeah, I thought you could be friends with a man. I really thought that. Y'all forgive me. And so I'm like, okay, what the heck? I exchanged numbers with him. This guy, he informed me that he cared about me right away. I already had told him I didn't want to be with anybody. He was like, you think I could change your mind? Now, this guy was 10 years older than me, which that was a no for me. I didn't want a big age gap, younger nor older. That was never me. Always 5 above, 5 under, and that was my limit. That was in my head. That's what I wanted, right? In any event, I kept telling this guy I didn't like him like that, but yet I would let him call me and I would be on the phone with him. So finally, I think maybe 2 months into knowing him, he was like, I found somebody, I'm dealing with this young lady. I said, oh, good, because I was happy for him, because I'm like, I didn't want him that way. Now, he wasn't a bad looking guy at all. He was a guy who worked out, so he had a nice physique and everything. He wasn't necessarily my type because I loved my chocolate. No insult to the light skinned brothers, but he was a light skinned brother who most women probably would have been like, what? You would have gave that up? You don't like him? La, 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 la. Now, I didn't care for him in that way. But in any event, him and I had gotten kind of close. We became friends. It got to the point where when he was going through stuff with his girlfriend, I would actually give him the little advice that I could give him that, for my knowledge at the time, and he would take it. And we were friends. I think he and the young lady might have been together for 4 or 5 months, and then something happened. They broke up. So then he came back and he told me, I don't want to be friends with you. I want to have you as my woman, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, it's okay to just be friends with him because I never led him on, never kissed him, never done anything like that. We had times we hung out, had a movie date or whatever. He would take myself and my friend and her daughter and my two daughters to the store and buy us little stuff like McDonald's and little ices and things like that. We had a rapport like that I thought was friendly and safe. But I have to say, he kept reminding me every now and again that he wanted me as his woman. And I should have cut it off because you can't be friends with somebody who desires you in that way. It's not safe and it's not smart because he kept, it wasn't like he was always constantly telling me how he felt, but he did it enough times for me to know. Even the way he looked at me, I saw it in his eyes. It was always a long, and it was like, oh, baby, baby. And I'm silly. I'm thinking, well, I don't want to tell him that I don't want to talk to him no more because we are too concerned about a man's feelings, people's feelings a lot when we're young. We consider the men's feelings a lot. Oh, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be nasty. I don't want to talk to him like that. But listen, I came across a guy one day. He was on Oprah and he said, y'all women have to stop doing that because men always think we have a chance. When you don't cut it completely off, tell us I'm not interested. He said those 3 words work. If you say, if it was another time and place, and maybe if it wasn't, I just got my heart broke, I probably would like you. He said, when you say those things, you're giving them a green light. And I learned that after this incident with Mr. G. Well, Mr. G, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to skip some stuff because Mr. G did a couple of crazy things and that I witnessed and I knew of, and I should have cut him off altogether. But this particular time, Mr. G knocked on my door because he was prone to do that. Knock on my door, hey, what's up? And I'm like, oh, come on in, and, stupid, right? But in the event, this particular night, I was getting dressed up to go dancing. Now, G was a little jealous because I suppose he didn't like the outfit that I had on. It was showing some curves because that's why I rolled back then, Had my little, what I would consider sexy outfits on and with my little high heels. I'm in the bathroom finishing up my hair. My daughters were with their dad this weekend. So it was just myself and Mr. G. Mr. G, the many times that he had come to my house in the year that I had known him, he had never stepped foot past my bathroom. When you come in my apartment, it was the living room, the kitchen, the bathroom, and then my daughter's bedroom, and then my bedroom in the back. He had never passed the bathroom. He had gone to my bathroom a few times over the years when he came by, we watched a movie or whatever, and that was it. Now, this particular day, I'm comfortable with him, right? So I let him in. I go back to the bathroom and I'm trying to curl my hair and fix my hair. And he like, where you going all dressed up? Where you think you going? Jokingly, he said, but probably not joking. And I was like, I'm hanging out. And he knew my friend. So he was like, oh, you going out with I was like, yeah, I'm going out with my girl and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, how you going to get there? You going to be going outside like that? And I was like, gee, leave me alone, still doing my hair. And then I realized I needed bobby pins. And so he was standing in the doorway of my bathroom, like holding his arms on the walls like this. So I pushed him. I said, move. So he moved. I go to my room to get my bobby pins off the dresser or whatever. When I turned, he's at my door. Now, I just told y'all that man never went past that bathroom, ever. Then and there, the warning sign, goosebumps, hairs raised. I'm like, oh God, here we go. I turned to him. I'm trying to play calm. And I was like, Greg, move out the way. So I'm like trying to get him to move so I can get away from my bedroom and around him. That didn't work. He already had an idea in his head that we were alone. Oh, he did ask, where's my babies? Because he always called my girls his babies. I said, they're with their father. And I think that just did it. He's like, she's looking good. This is my opportunity. The kids are not here. Let me go for it. What he did, he pushed me into my bedroom, and that at that time I had this bedroom set. I had bought it when I was 18. I had it for when I say years, it had a mirror attached to it. It has a mirror attached to it. It's a nice wall unit, huge bedroom, nice. I think it was kind of oak wood or whatever it was. And so when he saw that, the mirror thing turned him on. This man, because I was not the size I am now. Like I said, he was a guy who worked out. When I think about it, that man had probably just came from jail. When I think about it, yes. But I can't get too detailed because it's going to take too long. I just want to give y'all some heads up about what you shouldn't be doing when you're alone as a woman. That man picked me up under my arms like this and just threw me onto my bed. And I'm like, what the heck is about to go on now? So I'm trying to reason with him, of course, because now you're in survival instinct. You're in survival mode. I'm like, I don't want to be raped. I don't want to be beaten. I don't want to be hurt, period, by somebody that I knew for over a year, who I never had an experience with him like that he could be violent, you know? And so he throws me down and he just started begging me to do intimate stuff to me with his mouth, which I'm in my mind going crazy now. And I'm like, no, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, gee, stop it. So he gets on top of me, pins me down. Now, me and my friends always talk crap. Oh, somebody can't rape me. I would fight back. Da, da, da. Let me tell you something. When a man is filled with a demon, honey, he is the worst thing to be dealing with. Okay? He was filled with a demon, because any man who wants to attack you or hurt you in that way, they're being governed by a demon. I could not get that guy off of me. What he was doing when he had me pinned to the bed, he was taking his knee and pushing his knee into my thighs to get me to open up my legs. And I'm fighting him the best way I can. I couldn't get out of his grip. My arms were up like this, and I'm turning and twisting and carrying on. Now, my mother told me something when she was younger that happened to her when somebody was trying to hurt her. And the way she got away, she said, if somebody ever have you pinned down, calm down. Don't fight them. Because when you calm down, they're going to loosen their grip. And that's how you get up. And I don't know, if that thing came right to my head, like instinct. It just came to my head. My mother telling me this thing, right? And so I looked him in his eye and I'm like, come on now, Greg. And he was like, what? Just, I'm going to be with you. He started declaring his love and what he want to do to me physically and sexually. And I'm just going, Lord, please, I don't want this to happen. And he was all crazy. But when I calmed down and he loosened his grip, I got my right hand free and I slapped him. It was just a defense mechanism. I slapped that man with all my might. When I tell you that excited him more, it was a scary, I mean, I could see evil in his eye. It was scary. I slapped him. He just shook it off and was started smiling. And I'm like, oh my God, it's over. I'm in trouble. I didn't know what else to do because now he grabbed my arm back again. And now I'm just laying there. I just laid there. And I looked him in his eye and I said, gee, this is what you're going to do to me? I said, you're going to do me like this? I said, so you're going to rape me? And it was only when I said that word, I think something triggered in his brain, because this wasn't who he was. I just think he was just overwhelmed with his desire for me or whatever. And we were alone, and then I was dressed a certain way. I just think the whole thing, I'm not making no excuses for him. I'm not. But at least when I mentioned that word, when I said, so you're going to hurt me, you're going to rape me like this? I didn't say hurt. He ended up using that word. I said rape. When I said that, then I could see something change in him. I could see something change in him.